You know, usually when I picture a vacation, there's this expectation of immediate bliss.
Oh, for sure.
Like a movie cut. 1 second you're locking your front door, and the very next frame, bam, you're standing in front of a theme park castle holding a churro, perfectly happy.
Right. A perfect, seamless jump cut. I mean, the commercials have basically trained us to expect the magic to begin the absolute second we declare we are on vacation.
But then you actually travel.
Yeah, reality hits.
Exactly. You realize that between your front door and that castle, there is this massive, incredibly complex logistical machine. And that machine is just full of gears that can totally grind your mood to a halt.
A complete halt, yeah.
Which brings us to a surprisingly fascinating document we're doing a deep dive into today.
It really is fascinating.
It's a promotional guide from a company called Ontario Airport Car and Sedan Service, and they're located over in Montclair, California.
Right.
Their guide is titled Top 7 Reasons to Book Ontario Airport to Disneyland Transportation.
And, you know, on a surface, it really just reads like a standard listicle, meant to sell car rides from ONT to the Anaheim resort area.
Yeah, but we are not here just to read an advertisement to you. The mission for this deep dive is to use this document as a lens to unpack the modern traveler's mindset.
I love that.
By analyzing their pitch and, looking closely at the exact services they decided to highlight in their top 7, we can see precisely where the biggest friction points lie in family travel today.
Right, the real pain points.
Exactly. We are going to look at how removing those points of friction is marketed as the literal beginning of a magical experience.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting right at the moment of arrival.
Yeah, because the arrival is arguably the most vulnerable point in the entire travel sequence. You've just stepped off a plane. You are physically depleted from, cabin pressure and recycled air.
You're just exhausted.
Completely. And your spatial awareness is disoriented. And you are being thrust into a new, highly competitive environment. And the source paints a very specific and, frankly, very vivid picture of what arriving at Ontario International Airport, or ONT, can actually feel like.
They do.
They call out long terminals, baggage delays, or busy curb zones. If you have ever traveled with a group, reading that sequence of words practically raises your blood pressure on the spot.
Oh, they are absolutely tapping into a universal anxiety there. The transition from the highly controlled environment of an airplane to the chaotic, free-for-all environment of an airport curb, it requires a massive spike in cognitive load.
Wow, cognitive load. Let's talk about that.
Well, you are suddenly responsible for wayfinding, crowd navigation, and inventory management all at once.
Right, because to me, navigating an airport after a long flight, especially if you have kids in tow, is basically like the final chaotic level of a video game.
That is a great analogy.
Right, your energy bar is already completely depleted, you've survived the flight itself, but now you have to face the final boss, the busy curb zone.
The dreaded final boss.
You have to figure out where the rideshare pickup is, which nowadays is usually like a mile away in some remote concrete garage.
Right, you're dragging bags for 20 minutes.
Yes. You have to match license plates while keeping toddlers out of traffic, and you're carrying all your inventory.
So the proposed solution in the text is what they call stress-free direct transportation.
Okay.
They break this down into a curbside meet and greet with a name card, actual human assistance with luggage, and a direct, no-stop route straight to the park.
That sounds amazing, honestly.
It does. But what we are really looking at here is the concept of anticipatory service. They aren't just selling a physical ride in a car.
What are they selling then?
They are selling the complete outsourcing of that cognitive load you just described.
Oh, I see. Having someone standing there with a name card who just takes your bags and leads you to a waiting car that's literally a cheat code to bypass the final boss.
Exactly. You don't have to think, you just have to follow. And the document takes this a step further by addressing a very modern travel anxiety under the heading of real-time flight tracking. They note that flights don't always land on time.
The understatement of the century right there.
Right. Their policy is to monitor the flight, adjust the pickup schedule automatically, and they explicitly state they do not charge extra for delays.
Wait, really? No extra charge?
No extra charge. The driver simply waits appropriately based on the new arrival time.
Why is that specific detail such a powerful selling point, though?
Because it neutralizes a massive psychological burden. The fear of being penalized for circumstances entirely out of your control.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Picture this. You are sitting on the tarmac.
Yeah.
You've landed. You are ready to get off the plane. but the pilot announces a 30-minute delay because the gate is occupied.
Ugh, the absolute worst feeling.
Your brain immediately starts calculating the cascading consequences.
Hmm.
Will my ride leave? Am I going to be charged $1 a minute waiting fee? Will my family be stranded at the curb?
You just panic.
Right, so by making flight tracking and penalty-free delays a core feature, they are taking ownership of the unpredictability of air travel.
They're essentially saying to you, the moment you book us, the logistics are our problem, not yours. You can just sit on that tarmac and relax.
Precisely.
So, okay, you've bypassed the final boss at the curb. The next reality hitting you is sheer volume.
Yes.
Getting an entire family and all their luggage into a vehicle. This brings us to the physical logistics of the family pack.
And the spatial requirements of group travel are profoundly different from, say, traveling solo on a business trip.
Oh, completely. And the guide zeroes in on this immediately. They specifically target families and groups, emphasizing the massive footprint of stuff that comes with them.
Right.
They list things like strollers, souvenirs, or multiple suitcases, and their solution is providing spacious SUVs and vans. But then they draw a very sharp contrast.
What do they contrast it with?
They say this private service ensures you all travel together rather than being split between multiple rideshare cars.
Yeah, if you have a group of 5 or 6, plus a double stroller and luggage for a week-long trip, a standard sedan simply won't work.
It's impossible.
You are often forced, right on the spot, to divide the party into 2 different vehicles.
Now, I have to push back on this just a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
Is splitting up into 2 rideshare cars really that big of a deal? I mean, you were all going to the same hotel.
Sure.
It's a 40-minute drive. You'll see each other in the lobby. Is highlighting this just a clever luxury upsell, or is there a genuine pain point being solved here?
It goes far beyond just the luxury of sitting in the same row of seats. When we look at family travel dynamics, group cohesion is paramount.
Okay.
If you are traveling with vulnerable group members, young children, or perhaps elderly grandparents with mobility issues, keeping the pack together is fundamentally about security and shared experience.
Security in what sense? Like physical safety?
Well, physical safety, yes, but primarily emotional security. You are navigating a new city, complex highway interchanges, completely unfamiliar territory.
Right. Everything is new.
If you put your spouse and half the kids in one stranger's car, and you take the rest in another stranger's car, you spend that entire 45-minute drive intensely monitoring your phone.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You are texting back and forth, "Where are you? Did your driver take the exit? We are stuck in traffic. Are you at the hotel yet?"
I hadn't thought about that. You have fractured the shared experience and introduced a massive new element of stress right at the beginning of the trip.
Exactly. You are essentially doubling the logistical variables.
Mm-hmm.
If one car gets lost, the whole vacation timeline is thrown off.
So true.
The goal of keeping the group in one SUV is to consolidate those variables. But the environment inside that vehicle matters just as much as who is in it.
How so?
The source specifically notes that their fleet offers VIP comfort. They highlight modern vehicles with climate control, leather seating, and tinted windows.
Okay, tinted windows. I have to admit, when I read that, it seemed almost comical.
Why?
It's just such a specific celebrity-focused detail to include for a tired family heading to a theme park. It feels a bit like they're just listing standard limo features to sound fancy.
Well, it does read like standard luxury marketing on the surface, I'll give you that. But if we look at it through the lens of travel psychology, it serves a critical function.
Really? Tell me more.
Think about the sensory experience of a travel day up to that point. You've been in a loud, bright airport terminal with thousands of people.
Exhausting.
You've been in a cramped, noisy airplane cabin with engine drone and cabin announcements. And you are about to enter a theme park, which is the literal definition of sensory overload.
Right. The sounds, the colors, the crowds. It's a lot.
By emphasizing a spacious vehicle with climate control and tinted windows, they are advertising a private decompression sanctuary.
Ah, a sanctuary.
The tinted windows block out the harsh glare of the California sun and the visual chaos of the freeway traffic. It allows the family to physically dim the lights and reset their nervous systems before the vacation actually begins.
So it acts as a buffer zone, literally a quiet room on wheels.
Exactly. A crucial pause between the stress of travel and the high-energy excitement of the destination.
Okay, so we have the family together, sitting in a quiet, climate-controlled bubble, which brings us to what is happening up by the driver's seat, or, more accurately, what is not happening.
Right.
And that is the ticking of a meter. Let's talk about the economics of peace of mind.
Yes, because the financial aspect of travel is consistently ranked in consumer research as one of the highest stressors.
The source tackles this head on. They lean heavily into what they call transparent flat rate pricing.
Right.
They use very direct language here, telling the customer to forget surge pricing or unexpected add-ons. They frame their fixed upfront fares as the ideal way to budget and secure peace of mind.
It's a very strong pitch.
But wait, here's where it gets really interesting, because I want to play devil's advocate here.
Okay, go ahead.
Rideshare apps also show you the price up front before you hit book. You open the app, you see the estimate, and you click confirm. How is this flat rate service actually any different or better than that?
It really comes down to market timing and the volatility of dynamic pricing.
Okay, unpack that for me.
While a rideshare app does show you a price before you click book, that price is constantly fluctuating based on immediate supply and demand.
Right.
Imagine the scenario. You land at the airport, you turn off airplane mode, and you check the price while taxiing to the gate. It's $40. You think, great.
Great deal.
Then you spend 30 minutes waiting at the baggage carousel. 3 other flights land during that time. Hundreds of other people open their apps. By the time you actually have your bags and are ready to hit book, that $40 ride is suddenly $85.
Oh, that specific dynamic is brutal. You literally watch the price inflate while you are helplessly waiting for your suitcase to come down the chute.
Exactly. The psychological energy spent staring at your phone, refreshing the app, trying to time the market of a rideshare, creates massive anxiety.
Totally.
It creates a feeling of being penalized simply for taking the time to gather your belongings.
And that stress just compounds throughout the trip, doesn't it?
It does. To understand why this flat rate pitch works so well, we have to look at the broader context of a Disney vacation.
Okay.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, a family has likely already spent thousands of dollars on flights, resort hotels, and park tickets. They have budgeted this trip meticulously down to the last dollar.
Right, it's a huge investment.
In that context, an unpredictable add-on or a sudden surge price at the airport doesn't just feel like a minor inconvenience, it feels like a betrayal.
A betrayal. Wow, that is a strong word. But sitting in that scenario, it absolutely feels like the destination is trying to squeeze every last dime out of you before you've even arrived at the hotel.
It chips away at the trust you have in the entire vacation experience. So when this car service pitches flat rate pricing, they are offering an emotional benefit masked as a financial one.
They are restoring a sense of control to the consumer.
Exactly. You know exactly what you're going to pay weeks before you even leave your house. If you sit in Southern California rush hour traffic on the 91 freeway, the meter isn't ticking.
That predictability is incredibly valuable when everything else about a travel day feels precarious.
It's essentially an insurance policy against budget fatigue.
Budget fatigue.
Yeah, it's a very real phenomenon. And eliminating it at the very first touch point of the trip sets a completely different, much more relaxed tone for the days to come.
Makes total sense. So we've covered the vehicle, the route, and the pricing model. Now we need to look at the final and arguably the most crucial component of this entire equation.
The human element.
The human element, the person behind the wheel, and the specific locations they are navigating to.
Because ultimately, even with a flat rate and a quiet car, you are placing your family's physical safety in the hands of another human being.
Right. And the promotional guide puts a major emphasis on professional chauffeurs and safety. They want to make it crystal clear that these drivers are not just random people with a car and an app on their phone.
Definitely not.
They are licensed, trained, and heavily background checked. The guide mentions these chauffeurs assist with luggage, offer courteous service, and respect your privacy.
That privacy piece is interesting.
It is. They make a specific point to note that this focus on safety and professionalism is especially vital for guests traveling with kids or elderly relatives.
This section reveals the core product being sold here.
Yeah.
Yes, the utility is transportation, but trust is the ultimate service.
Let's dig into the mechanics of that trust. What does that look like?
Think about the physical reality of getting into a vehicle at an airport. You are in an unfamiliar city, you are exhausted, and you are getting into a closed, moving metal box with a complete stranger.
Yeah, it's intense when you put it like that.
You have your most precious cargo with you, your children, your aging parents. That is an inherently vulnerable situation.
So what does this all mean for the listener who is planning their trip?
When the source explicitly states that their drivers are background checked and professionally trained to respect privacy, they are actively transforming a vulnerable situation into a secure one.
Wow.
They're replacing the anxiety of the unknown with the reassurance of institutional standards.
It elevates the interaction from a simple transaction to a professional relationship. And the logistics of actually booking this service are also presented as being highly structured.
How do they handle that?
They offer an online booking form, or you can call them directly at 909-836-1983. They recommend booking 24 to 48 hours in advance for peak dates, but they also note that same-day service is often available.
That's good flexibility.
Furthermore, they highlight a customer service team that is on standby for schedule updates or special requests.
Having a direct line to a human being, rather than just an automated chatbot on an app, reinforces that feeling of control.
Definitely.
If your plans change, or you need an extra car seat, you can actually speak to someone to solve the problem.
Now let's look at where they are actually driving these families, because the destination list is not just Disneyland. The service radius they promote is quite extensive.
Okay, where do they go?
They handle guests heading to the Anaheim Resort hotels, the Downtown Disney District, the Disneyland Hotel, the Grand Californian, and even nearby attractions like Knott's Berry Farm.
That's a solid list.
If you are planning this trip, why should you care about their exact service radius? Why does it matter that they highlight places like Downtown Disney rather than just the generic city of Anaheim?
It matters deeply because of a psychological concept heavily utilized in theme park design, often called the resort bubble.
The resort bubble, I've heard of that.
When you visit a highly themed destination, like a Disney property, part of the core appeal is entering an immersive, perfectly controlled environment.
Right, where the outside world completely fades away.
Exactly. Disney spends billions of dollars engineering sightlines, piping in specific smells, and curating background music to keep you fully immersed in that bubble.
It's amazing.
The magic relies on the complete suspension of reality. Usually that bubble begins the moment you step foot in the hotel lobby or cross the turnstiles at the park entrance.
So the outside world is supposed to stop at the property line.
Right. But what this car service is effectively doing by explicitly servicing all these immersive destinations is extending the perimeter of that resort bubble all the way back to the airport curb in Montclair.
That is fascinating. The bubble doesn't start at the sliding glass doors of the Grand Californian. It starts the moment you settle into the leather seat of their SUV.
Precisely. They're acting as the airlock between the stressful, unpredictable real world and the magical, highly engineered vacation world.
An airlock. I love that.
By ensuring the transition to the Anaheim Resort hotels or Downtown Disney is seamless, they protect the integrity of that bubble.
Because if you have a bad ride, it ruins everything.
Think about the alternative. If you have a terrible, stressful rideshare experience, maybe the car smells like smoke, the driver's aggressively weaving through traffic, and the price just surged. You arrive at the majestic hotel lobby, angry and frustrated.
The bubble is already popped before you even check in.
Exactly.
You end up spending your first 2 hours of vacation trying to calm down and apologizing to your spouse for snapping at them in the drop-off line.
And the engineered magic of the resort can't penetrate a bad mood.
Right.
But if you have a smooth, quiet, predictable ride, you step out of the vehicle at the hotel portico, fully primed for the experience. You are immediately ready to engage with the vacation.
This has been incredibly revealing. We started today by looking at what appeared to be a fairly standard promotional list for Ontario airport car and sedan service.
Yeah, just a list of features.
But by really breaking down the psychology behind their top 7 reasons, we found a masterclass in modern travel psychology. This document isn't just listing vehicle features.
Not at all.
It is systematically identifying and neutralizing the specific friction points of family travel.
They really do systematically check off every major anxiety. They address unpredictable delays with flight tracking.
Yep.
They eliminate the emotional drain of surge pricing with flat rates.
Huge.
They solve the problem of fractured group dynamics with spacious vehicles. And they mitigate deep-seated safety concerns with background-checked professionals.
By addressing every single one of those pain points, this car service positions itself as far more than just a ride from point A to point B.
Absolutely.
They are establishing themselves as the true stress-free start to the theme park day. They are the ones initiating that movie jump cut we talked about at the very beginning of the show, bridging the gap between your front door and the castle.
The guide actually makes a very bold promise at the end of their text. They promise a magical arrival.
A magical arrival.
And they claim to achieve this magic entirely through fixed pricing, flight tracking, and professional logistics. It forces us to ask a larger question about how we perceive leisure.
Oh, okay. What's the question?
How much of what we consider vacation magic is actually just the complete and total absence of logistical friction? If you perfectly engineer the logistics to be invisible, does the magic just happen on its own?
Is the magic simply what is left over when you remove the friction? That is a brilliant question to leave off on and something to deeply consider the next time you find yourself standing on a busy airport curb, bracing for that final boss. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We appreciate you exploring these ideas with us, and we look forward to unpacking our next topic with you soon. Safe travels, everyone.